Okay, so we're recording there.
And you said we're already on that.
Yep, we are live on there, so if y'all guys want to start sharing that.
I'm getting there.
Then I'll pull it up on this bad boy.
Oh, here we go. Share. Mic drop time. I literally almost wrote mic drop time.
There we go. Oop.
All right, we're up.
Do you guys like this hat, or should I do my cowboy hat?
I think the cowboy. I think the cowboy hat stands out, but I mean it's pretty cool.
Very good.
I did share this, didn't I?
I think it looks cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we go.
Okay. So,
What do we want to talk about today, guys? What do y'all want to talk about today?
so let's. Okay, yeah, we can talk. So, one, I appreciate the drink. I needed this.
Absolutely.
But two, I'm ready for some sick shirts. I'm very jealous because I really need one of those shirts.
And you will get one. For sure.
Yep. You know, they have to go get a bed sheet for me. so it's okay.
Sorry, bro. Everybody was all out of bed sheets.
All right. So, you know, we had a little bit of a topic to talk about, but I think, what if we did something where we talk about maybe one of the, what we just talked about, you know, before everybody joined in.
Okay.
Let's talk about the, you know, the buy downs, the temporary buy downs and the concessions. I think this is actually, hopefully, you know, some agents tune into this. They understand and know what a concession is, in regards to, you know, for VA. Okay. Big misunderstanding. It gets a little chaotic because the VA is very good about interpreting things very differently.
It is confusing.
Very confusing, but with a good lender on your side, that's the key thing.
That's right.
Good lender on your side.
That's right.
We can definitely sort things out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Love y'all's hats. Listen, I need you guys just to. This is Miss Kelly, and they're actually her and her team's going to come on for a podcast one week. Nice. And phenomenal, man. These ladies are as cool as they come in. Her husband Trevor is actually out doing work on the roofs. He's got his roofing company, so you know, big shout out to them. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
I know you're talking about.
Trevor Hartz.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that. So yeah.
I'm retarded.
So, but yeah,
I know that name.
right. So. But yeah, so no, awesome people, awesome ladies, definitely love working with them. But, you know, so let's go ahead and kind of talk about, you know, your scenario, man. You know, you have a listing that you have right now.
Yeah.
And you're saying the lender, for the buyers trying to make an offer on your listing, wants you guys to pay closing cost and needs about a little bit more for the 2-1 buy down.
Right. So
Okay.
this is always something that I have to double check, which you should, right? Because
Sure.
I'm not a lender.
Yep.
But I had to double check because I wanted clarification again. So understand that so we've talked about this in the past. Okay, so you have your closing expenses.
Yep.
You have a down payment, right?
Yep.
Normally, your closing expenses has to do with you know, your title work, your lender work, stuff like that.
Right.
And then you have this thing called concessions, which a concession can be anything from, let's say, you're going to get a fridge, you're going to get maybe a paint allowance, you're going to get, you know, you somehow agreed to have a seller put a $180,000 pool in the backyard, right? Whatever. But my question was, how does that work with your limit? So the limit being that, so for a conventional loan, let's say you do a conventional loan and you're not putting, you know, much down for down payment. I think it's 3%, right? So 3% as a general rule. Now, if you put down a bunch of money down on a conventional loan, you can usually get a little bit higher of a concession or contribution limit, if you will. But with a conventional loan, that 3%, right? So let's say it's $300,000 house, that's $9,000, right? That's the max you can pay. So you have to slice that $9,000 to where you're going to pay your closing expenses, and whatever's left over you could use for, like, say, a 2-to-1 buy down or something, which is what these people are trying to do. My question was, how does the VA view it or interpret it?
So, yeah, so I kind of given an acronym to kind of help agents understand the general rule for concessions. Okay, so it's called, we learned this in our continuing ed, but it's I see very few.
I remember ICUP.
Okay, that's awesome. So do I. Spell yeah. Thank you. I cup. ICUP. Dumb. But so I see very few. I investment 2%. C, it's not obviously an S, but it's a C, conventional. General rule is 3%. I think it's 10 to 20%. It's 6% you can ask for, 25 plus down payment, 9%. VA. So I see very VA. You're at 4%. Few FHA 6%. So the thing with VA is very they're very gray in the area of what they're going to consider closing costs and concession, right? So they kind of allocate, and they're able to say, hey, well, this doesn't go towards the concession, but we can put it towards a closing cost. And so for VA, technically there is no cap on a closing cost. You tell that to an agent, yeah. But in fairness, man, that's how most lenders will preach it. And the only thing is, I don't like if the builder is giving you a $20,000 concessions, towards, whatever, right? And it's on a $300,000 home. Okay. Well, you do the redneck math. Yeah. If you cap it for VA, you say, well, the most we can get is $12,000. That's not true. You can actually maximize the $20,000. You can put all towards discount points if you wanted to. There technically is no cap for closing costs to be paid from the VA. Now, concessions, that does follow suit under concessions. So any kind of buy down, like not a discount point, but a buy down, like a temporary buy down, that will go towards that concession. So just understand, whenever you guys run into a situation like that, just honestly confirm with your lender. Chalk it up with us. I'll spend the time with anybody to kind of explain a lot of it, but it's hard to explain it, man, because again, it's a very tricky.
But it's almost got to be specific too.
Well, yeah. I mean, buy downs, yeah, this guy's got to be specific. So, it's got to be specific. But at the end of the day, it's it's one of those things where it's offered, and it can be a good product, but it's not meant for everybody, man. Like we always say,
it's just got to fit.
Yeah, and Kenneth, he's I know you've probably dealt with some buyers. Definitely, he's probably at least asked about it or worked with him. It's got to make sense. Yep. It's one of those things where if you're okay with the payment on the qualifying rate, then yeah, go for it. Because then, your first 2 years, you're just saving money. Mm-hmm. As long as you're okay with that. But if in your head you think, hey, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to hope that okay, I understand what my payment is on my original rate, but ideally within my budget, the first year is going to be within my budget. Like that first year. So let's just say your first year, instead of paying on a 6.5%, you're paying on a 4.5%. And that's ideally your budget payment. 6.5 is not really your budget. The 4.5 is. You roll the dice. What happens next year if the rates don't cool off? Hypothetically,
What happens if they go up?
What happens if they go up? Well, so the first year you're paying on that 4.5, and then that fairy tale dies, and then the next year it goes up to the 5.5. And now you're back to that original note rate of 6.5, and now it's fixed for the life of the loan, and that's just going to be dependent on if you're going to be able to budget it if that's within your budget. So, like I said, it's one of those things where it's a good talking point for people who may want to try to save a couple extra bucks in the first year, but they understand that even worst case, if they can't refinance or the market doesn't shift or whatever, that when the original rate comes back up within the next few years, you're going to be A-okay with that payment. And that's the kind of person that's going to be a good fit for that program. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, I think that was a good little talking point before coming on here. Good little learning curve. Kenneth.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you know what? Let's talk about your plans for 2024, man.
My plans?
Yeah. Let's talk about your real estate plans. Like what ideally, what's your goal?
Goal wise is no less than 25 moved, which I think is very attainable.
Okay.
It's a challenge for me personally, but I do feel that it's attainable.
Okay.
The education portion is real big. So I want to continue with my education, going to classes, and getting different certifications and designations and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to 2024. I just want to be better next year than I was this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What about you, Jingle Bells?
My threshold is still same 25. I don't want to do any less. Okay. But my main focus going into this next year is kind of like what Kenneth said, education, but on a little different side. It's going to be on the instructor side.
Okay.
So I'm going ahead and getting all my ducks in a row and everything right now to do the instructor thing. I just got done with a course last week. And I want to teach more classes. I want to try to be a better help on the education side for guys like Kenneth that actually want to, I guess, get a higher education than just the average guy,
right?
Or the average realtor, I should say, because there's just a lot of us running around that have like a base knowledge that they could be so much better at their job. And they could be so much better for their clients, whether it be the buyer, the sellers, basically the public, right? You could support them, and you could do better for them. Yeah. If you would kind of come out of your comfort zone and you would get some better education.
Absolutely.
And that's where my main passion is. And you guys know me. I mean, I'm huge about teaching, and I'm huge about education, and that's like one of the big things. Like when we got hooked up, I was like, dude, one of my very big adamant points is you stay learning based.
Yeah.
Stay learning based, because that's what's going to set you apart from everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we run into people every day that have all these random questions and if you've spent time learning, if you spent time actually devoting yourself to education, to thinking outside the box, to learning different ways around different problems, you're going to be able to support them and help them 10 times better than just being like, cool, so you want to buy this house? Like, that's not what we're here for. We're here to help educate. We're here to help them make a better financial decision.
Right. Absolutely. What about for you, Daniel? I mean, on your side of the fence, what are your goals?
Personally, man, I actually would like to, obviously, everybody's goal is to help as many families as they can. I mean, I know y'all as agents a little different, but as a lender, obviously I'm just trying to help as many as I can, right? Ideally, man, it'd be cool to hit like 150, 160 plus, What
a loser. Underachiever.
Yeah. But no, I think next year, man, I definitely it'd be nice to slowly expand the page team, like meaning, me and my loan partner, Atlanta, man, she's been my A1. And it'd be nice to kind of see a nice little, she's like an ops manager to where, we have another processor underneath me and kind of keep the flow going, just to keep the processes smooth. I mean, I know the process is smooth now, but I always want to better it and make it a little bit more streamlined as much as I can. So, and that's always the biggest thing for me is, you guys know me, I'm super big on education. I mean, it's, like I said, it's sad to honestly see some of the lack of knowledge base, not just, in our industry as a whole. I'm just saying dude, even when I went to Sam's Club the other day, math wasn't math for some people, and I'm like, I don't like I'm just like I don't know where our society's going, but like no, like you said,
Not
man,
the math class. Not going there.
but no, like in all honesty, it's just really just to keep the mind sharp, always learn, always be up to times, man. That's always my biggest goal. I want to, be able to spit guidelines at you guys all day, which I think I tend to do. And it's just, you want to be the LO who can always be the walking encyclopedia for people.
Right.
I have plenty of agents, man. Like, honestly, they don't send me business, or they rarely do. But you know who they come asking for because they can't get an answer? It's what it is. It's what it is, man. And, I'm never gonna kick somebody away, but just understand they know who to go to. They know who to go to. I'm not trying to.
They know who's got the knowledge.
I know that sounds really cocky, but it's not. Like it's just really it's sad though, man. It really is. Like, when you can't explain basic stuff on a loan estimate as a lender, I'm like,
It's annoying.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
It's extremely annoying. Yeah. I mean, you ask the buyer, like, hey, well, what about this? What about that? And then they're like, what are you talking about? Then you just talk to your lender, like.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
I wrote you a 10 questions on a piece of paper, and I said, ask these questions.
Well, the crazy thing is, man, is talking about people at the VA, man. You come to me, they talk to a lender. Oh, well, I'm pre-approved, I'm just shopping around. Okay, well, cool. Let me drop you a little bit of VA knowledge real quick before we even talk about this. You know what a funding fee is? Oh, I was like, hey, your funding fee, just expect to pay this. He's like, hold on, what's a funding fee? And I'm like, brother, you already talked to one or two lenders before me. You don't even know what a funding fee is yet. I was like, my goodness, man. And it's like, but it's not their fault by any stretch of means. It's not. It just goes down to pure education, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh boy. And then you just have that long heart to heart with them.
But see, that's what makes everything hard, dude. Right? So that's.
Oh wait, hold on. There's Derek.
Yeah,
remember
Derek?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, from the pizza place.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we should get Derek on here. I mean,
Derek.
His office is right
being a lazy bum. Get over here and get on this podcast.
You're right down the road. Your office is right down the road from us, man.
Yeah, man. You can skip all the way down here. It only take you 30 seconds. Nah. Derek Russell, he works over there at Hawks Realty, man. He's a good dude. Another retired Army dude just like us, and he's good people.
Them, not me. I'm too fat for the Army.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
I will lift.
We could just dress you up as a tank. I mean, this is not a mechanized division, but I mean, we could figure it out.
He'd be the buffalo.
Yeah, he's the water buffalo. Yeah. But no, I mean, it's I forgot what I was going to say, but what were we talking about?
Talking about education.
Education.
On the lender side.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. It's hard sometimes for me. Just because I feel like people will only tell you
what you want to hear.
What you want to hear, or like just enough to like kind of get you in there.
Yeah.
To where they feel like that you'll trust them enough, but they don't paint you the whole picture, right? So for instance, right? So we were just at this agent open house. Kenneth and I was.
Oh boy.
For Chris Hodges, right?
Yep.
Great house. And there was a lady there that was showing a house.
Okay.
That actually just showed one of my listings as well. And we met him up, and it was the same people.
Okay.
And we just got to talking, and she's like, oh, he's the listing agent for blah, blah. And they're like, okay, we're talking for a little bit. And then, and they were asking me some pros and cons of a couple different houses they looked at. And then specifically that one, he's like, what do you think about this part of the house? I was like, oh, that definitely sucks. And I was like, because it's not something you could change. And what it was, there's basically a road right behind it, or there's going to be a road right behind it.
Right.
And it's not that it sucks as in like this is terrible, but just understand that it's not going to be this like peaceful, tranquil view behind you, because there's going to be a road and there's going to be houses there. And he kind of paused a second. He's like, thank you so much for being honest. Yeah. And I was like. And I looked at him, I was like, well, what would I do, lie to you? I was like, you can plainly see that there's going to be a road there. You just asked me to see if I would tell you what I would say.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes, I did.
Yep.
He was like, I just wanted to see what you would say.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, but that goes back to almost everybody that all three of us meet. Yeah. Is like they ask you questions, and agents wonder why like they lose business or somebody doesn't want to work with them.
Right.
And it's like because the people that are, not everybody that you're going to run into is that naive in life. There are some people that are just very naive.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that negatively. It's just things have to be explained to them. And that's fine. That's fine. But some people will ask you questions just to see what your answer is.
Yeah.
And they want to see if you're going to be honest with them or
Yeah,
not.
they basically want to see like what kind of a person you are.
Yeah. What's your character?
Which, is valid.
But see, and that's what I try to tell everybody, man. What I've come to learn in this industry quite a bit, okay, is
Amber says love the shirts.
yeah, no, like
Speaking of which, real quick, I need to show what the back.
Oh,
looks
yeah,
like.
yeah.
So I'm going to.
yeah. Hey, I honestly need the.
This is where OnlyFans comes in. Start donating.
Wait, go to
You got
your
your-
go to the other way.
You got to
Nope.
shake it.
Hold on, you got to go the other way, because I think this is.
This way.
Yeah. Wait, squat down a little bit. Yeah.
Which way? Which way I got to go?
Okay, hold on. Adam,
Which way I got to go?
Oh, there he goes.
Good.
There you go. Okay. You know what? Hopefully you guys got a small glimpse of that. But no. What I've come to learn about in this industry, man, is it's not necessarily. It's very few relationship based business. It's strictly business, which is fine.
Oh, you mean with a lot of it's transactional with a lot of people,
Yes,
is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. 100%. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing. Like that's a business model, and if that's what you guys do, more power to you, right? The way I look at it is, I get more enjoyment to work with people I like to work with, and that have the same views as me, right? And again, I hear all the time like, oh, well, this lender can offer this. This lender has better rates. This lender has better cost. And at the end of the day, man, like it's not like it's a used car dealer, man. Like we've used this analogy plenty of times, and does the level of service still equate to that? And if it does, then cool, you got yourself a rock star lender. That's awesome. Congratulations.
9 times out of 10, though, I got news for you. You're paying for that rate somewhere.
But
it's not a thing. Like it's.
Well, here's kind of like my dilemma is, I always hear the notion of like, hey, I'm going to shop around for you. And then I'll have, like, I've had agents before just hit me up randomly. Hey, where are your rates at for today? Okay, cool. But there's no follow-up, like, which is fine, and I'm never scared to throw out rates, costs, or anything like that, because I'm pretty transparent. But think about it like from our perspective, right? Like if I had a lead to give you guys, I wouldn't call around saying, hey, how much do you charge for a listing?
Yeah.
No, 100%, right? I wouldn't say, yo, Kenneth, I got somebody who's going to do a 2.5% on their commission. What do you got? Or, oh, hey, they said they would do it for 1.5%, right? I don't look at it like that. I look at it as
you pay for what you get.
well, but see, I look at it as like, yo, man, like I'm going to give y'all's name out because I trust you guys and we've done great business together and I know what you guys can do. You guys have proven enough. I think I've proven enough to where I think that's how the transaction should go, right? Like wholeheartedly. Because, at the end of the day, man, there's always going to be a company who can beat your rates. Always. 1,000%. It does not matter. I could offer you a rate and I could offer you a cost. Honestly, there could be somebody in freaking, BFE, Utah in the small little cubicles like, oh, hey, that's cute. I'll slash his prices all day. I was like, okay, cool. I had to bow out because I can't do anything, So there's always somebody cheaper, low cost, and better rates, but it's just, where does the service land?
And that's my biggest.
Yeah.
That's always, well, I should say ours. Yeah. It's always been about the service. It is 100% not transactional.
Yeah.
With us, I really, really, really try and strive to be somebody they can call on. We can develop a relationship. Because I would like the return business when they go to move or a referral. But the biggest thing, just because I don't call you every 5 minutes or send you an email once a month to tell you about whatever, doesn't mean that I've forgotten about
Correct.
you. It's just I don't know, man. I don't like the transactional because I feel like there's no. And it's not that I should be overly emotional in a deal.
Well, what you know what? Oh, no, I'm gonna. I mean to cut you off, but that's how you and I were in the very beginning, man.
Yeah.
Like it was like everything we had, all of our emotions got wrapped up into
Everything
it.
went
Everything.
into it,
It did
you
not
know?
matter. But as time goes on, I mean, yeah, you start learning. Like, okay,
I 100% have empathy for every one of my clients.
yeah, yeah,
But my job is to stay outside of that emotional box.
yeah.
So I have a clearer picture of what's going on.
And you have to, man.
You 100% have to.
You have to. And I think that's what kind of creates the separation, man.
Yep.
Honestly, because I've also had it too, man, where agents will come at me or come at the title company or whatever, but there is pure emotion.
Yeah.
But they don't have any facts. They're just
Or have no solutions.
nothing.
That is
nothing.
probably my biggest. If this was going to be a gripe, session,
Right.
if that would be my biggest gripe is that the hardest part about doing this job, and representing your client, whether it be a seller or a buyer, is just dealing with the emotions from the
Right.
other side of the table. Because if that agent is competent, they're not going to get overly emotional, even if their side is.
Right.
I generally will not get over emotional. I might with my clients
Right.
because I'm going to kind of vent to them for maybe a possible minute, a couple seconds. But I'm going to get myself composed to have an adult conversation. Because again, what's our job? Our job is to represent our clients to the best ability, or to the best of our ability. But also, it's going to be okay. So, how do we get through this?
Yep, that's all it is.
How do we maneuver
problem
through
solving.
this problem?
And to caveat what you said about a lot of agents come to the table without solutions. They come with the problem but nowhere to fix it. And that's the thing. You got to be a problem solver. You got to be able to think outside the box. And I think that really comes with the education too.
No, yeah, I was about to say it all ties into education.
And that's what is definitely going to separate you.
Yeah.
Among the rest. And no, I totally agree with you. Come with something to benefit the situation. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Even
Because-
if the solution might not work at hand, at least you're coming with something.
See, and that's always the kind of the thing I try to let everybody know, man, up front is, guys, there's so many hands on a transaction that we don't have control over. So like we can kind of go through the whole timeline. We go from, hey, let's meet with the lender. There's one person. Let's meet with our buyer's agent. There goes the second person. Now we had to negotiate with the listing agent. There's a third person. Now we had to get home inspection, fourth person, appraiser, fifth person, title, sixth person, and it just keeps going down the line. So, like I said, there's just a lot of hands on the transaction. So, at any point, honestly, anything could derail a transaction.
Right.
To be fair, I mean,
100%.
you guys got to understand there's a lot of things that could derail any kind of transaction. I mean, most of them should go smoothly in hindsight. But again, a lot of wrenches get thrown in there all the time.
I think it has to do with being, and again, not to keep using the E word of education, but a lot of times it's not necessarily the agent not being educated, it's that agent not educating their client.
Now there is some circumstances, my client, where you tell them don't go, open up a credit card midway through the transaction. My client, and
Does it anyways.
Does it anyway. My client.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Love you. No, I mean a lot of it has to do with, and again, don't take that as in like all the agents besides myself and Kenneth here are not that great. That's not what I'm saying
No,
at all.
not at all.
I'm saying that sometimes it's the conveying of the information or the process to the client on the other side
Yeah.
is sometimes the issue. And that means that the agent could be fantastic, but
Yeah.
that client could either just not be in, I usually call it receive or transmit mode, right?
Right.
They have to be in receive mode in order to really grasp all this. Or if they're an emotional person anyways, or they're in an emotional state,
Yeah.
no matter what you do to try to explain it, whether you're write them a nice lovely letter or you draw it out on a whiteboard or something with crayon, like they may never really get
Yeah.
that. And sometimes you have to kind of take extra steps to make sure that they are understanding the process, because you
Yep.
don't want them to make emotional decisions. You don't want them to not understand what's going on, because the worst thing in the world is you get to the final hour of this whole thing and they're like, wait, time out.
Yeah.
What do you mean I have to pay this? And it's like, well, you agreed to it.
Right.
Well, you didn't explain that to me. Well,
We did.
That's expectation
did.
management, you know.
Right, yeah.
From the very beginning, so.
No, we talked about this. You know what I mean? And then it becomes one of those games. You don't want that.
Yeah.
And that goes for either side. Because what happens if somebody, the buyer is all of a sudden like, what do you mean for 2-for-1 buy down? What do you mean my rate's going to go up next year? Well, yeah, dude, that's the whole concept behind the 2-for-1. And they'd be like, well, I'm not buying this house, and then now the seller's put out.
Right.
Maybe the seller's got a accepted offer on their new home, or they're moving.
Right.
Now that totally screws up their life.
Right.
That's why it's so important to make sure that all parties involved, not the agents, the parties being the buyer and the seller, that they are committed to this and they understand fully the process and what goes into all this.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Before we start.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you know what? So let's talk about some of the. I have a good idea.
What you got?
Let's talk about the generality of what areas you might like. Maybe some areas that may fit people's needs. So we can describe each area. How about that? So let's start with exit 1. So the way I tell a lot of clients, as I give a description, exit 1, you're pretty much near the military base. You're closest to Fort Campbell, okay? But I even tell people, I was like, dude, it's a tuna can over there. It's heavily populated. There's quite a bit of traffic, but if your goal is maybe to be closest to the military base, I can't say, whether a good area, bad area, whatever. I'm just telling you, hey, the distance-wise, this is probably the closest 1-2 base.
I guess if you take Dotsonville or Woodlawn, it's almost the same distance as exit 1 area. It's just a different side. Exit 1 would be closer to gate 3, 4, and 7. And then,
Right.
What's that?
Dotsonville is what? Exit 10?
10, or gate 10.
Gate 10.
Gate 10.
Yeah.
Gate 10.
So
Well,
Dotsonville,
Tom,
Woodlawn,
so,
Indian Mound.
Gate 10, how far away is that from a Zaxby's?
Gate 10?
Yes.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
10 minutes, 8 minutes.
On the side, sorry, squirrel.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes because you could take that side road in.
Yeah, we used to.
On the news channel, they were out there by gate 10,
Yeah.
and they found a freaking Zaxby's window.
Yeah, like 3 miles away.
Yeah, I was like, dude, this is wild. I was like, this is freaking wild, dude.
Yeah, no, so Zaxby's is right there on the intersection
Yeah.
of 41 and what you call Purple Heart right there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
but that does bring up a good point now that I made the joke. But wholeheartedly, guys, if you guys were affected by the tornado by any stretch of means, yes, it was a very pretty tragic, to be honest with you. I joke around about it all the time. Like, I made a funny post on Facebook. I was like, hey, welcome to everybody to Clarksville. Welcome to the South. Welcome to Tennessee, where we have tornado watches in December. Well, that tornado watch turned into an actual tornado. In the South, we're actually used to tornado
well, you made
watch.
that in defense. You made that post before.
Yes, 100%. It was definitely before.
I was like, this
Yes.
guy, like he made that
Yes.
hours before that.
Yes. But truth be told, guys, if you guys aren't from here, maybe you guys just recently moved here or whatever it may be, tornado watches are, believe it or not, kind of common. I mean, we get thunderstorms, we get high winds. It's just very, I guess, rare that a tornado's come through or touch down. It's typically
in that kind of magnitude.
Yeah.
They're not odd by any means, but they're
Right.
not. They haven't been. I mean, you could look it up. I mean, that's what they say was like
The last
worst one in like 40 years.
The last one was in 1999.
Downtown.
It was level 5, and it went through very, very early in the morning. So
95.
99.
Oh,
It was
99.
F5.
99, it was
F5
an
tornado.
F5.
That's freaking 30.
And but anyways,
35 years ago?
it went
24 years ago.
it went through very early to where there was no one that was really affected as far as casualties.
Yeah.
But yeah, just so that we're talking on this, I do want to give a big shout out to everyone out there that has supported the community.
Yeah.
The outpouring is just insanely amazing. And that is something here in Clarksville, I think us as Clarksvillians really take pride in. We take care of our own.
Yep.
So to all the first responders, to all the linemen out there, to all the food trucks, the mom and pop places, like everybody, thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, guys, honestly, there's a lot of resources out there for you. Clarksville has definitely opened up their arms, to everybody out there who's been affected by it. By far, that's what I told everybody, man.
There's help out there. There's literally,
and that's what I said, man. It's really cool to see a community come together. As widespread as Clarksville is, believe it or not, as widespread as it is,
we're still pretty close.
Yeah, it's really, really cool to kind of see the amount of support you do have. So
absolutely.
But yeah, it was definitely an extremely unfortunate event. I couldn't have pictured a worse time for this to happen, especially during the wintertime. It gets a little bit cooler. I mean, the next day, dude, it was like 22 degrees. I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, that night it dropped down to like 28 degrees.
Yeah. And then, obviously, guys, Christmas coming up. So just understand, we obviously, I've had plenty of clients reach out to me. I had a few clients get affected by this. I've went out and did my thing with, help out whoever I could with them. Mm-hmm. But just, again, a side note, I mean, again, if you guys were affected by it, plenty of resources out there. YAPAC, there's that church. It's not
Mosaic.
Mosaic. Yeah, Mosaic. But again, plenty of people who's willing to help you haul off stuff, food, everything. So
yeah. And then lastly, I want to give a big shout out to us realtors and everyone in our industry, including the lenders. I've seen a lot of people just come together even more so during this time. And then lastly, to the builders, there's a lot of builders out there that are using the homes that have been sitting for a while, and they're actually using them now to rent out to these families that need homes.
Yep.
So we're grateful for you builders that are doing that. Thank you so much.
Yep. So we'll kind of leave that. We'll kind of, go back on the brighter side of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But okay. So we're kind of talking about location. How would you guys describe Exit 4? I say Exit 4 is the main hub.
So if I'm a buyer, let's just do this. So if I'm a buyer and I come to you, Adam, and I say, I'm new to Clarksville, and I heard some good things about Exit 4. I'd like to go over there. I'd like to live over there. How are you going to work that?
Well, I mean, we go find some house over there, go look out. I always tell people, so if you're new to the area, I guess for me, to kind of back up one step back, I always tell them to go spend a tank of gas.
Go on a Saturday and tell me how you feel.
Yeah, no, for real. No,
1,000%.
But for real. I'm going to go spend a tank of gas, go drive around. I was like, is what I tell everybody. It's not that I don't want to go with you, but my suggestion to everybody is just go drive around town.
Yeah.
Go pick out some houses online you like, or we can pick out some houses online you like. And then I would suggest that you just go drive around those neighborhoods and check the place out. Yeah. So Exit 4 is a
I say it's the median of Clarksville.
Yeah. So the problem with Exit 4 is your main vein traffic, right? So you have basically Exit 4, you're basically looking at like the over by Oakland Elementary area, kind of. I mean, I always call that like the main area. You either have to get on Guthrie Highway. Mm-hmm. Or you'd have to get off onto Tinytown or Trenton.
Trenton, yeah.
And so either one of those, you're going to hit traffic pretty heavily. Almost any time of the day that you would be traveling as a normal person, you'll hit a lot of traffic. Exit 1, you kind of mentioned earlier. The two big things with Exit 1 is going to be Tinytown and Needmore.
Yeah.
Those are very heavily trafficked. Now, with that being said, the whole town has gotten. Over the past 3 years, man, this place has exploded.
Absolutely.
It's exploded. So don't take that as a negative. It's just, it is what it is at this point. Yeah. And really, no matter where, I'll argue with anybody. I don't care where you live in Clarksville, you're going to find traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is traffic is a thing. It used to be, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago and back, you could find places that you're like, okay, I want to live here because I want to travel to this time. And I don't want to have that much traffic over here. Yeah. And there was places you could find anything today. Like you're gonna find traffic.
And it's honestly it's the meme I posted before, as a joke. But it's like your 2 hours, your it's 2 hours from Clarksville to Clarksville.
Yeah.
Or it's a 2-hour drive from Clarksville to Clarksville. Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, exit 4 is exit 4. But then but if you're going to do exit 4, you can almost combine that into the south end of exit 1, or I should say the east end of exit 1, which is where you have Tylertown, you have Tiny Town, you got Trenton right there. But if you're wanting to be, I would say if you're wanting to be close to the intersection, or excuse me, the interstate, but yet don't want to quite be in, let's say, Sango, but don't want to quite be in exit 1, then exit 8 is still your perfect area.
But even that, man, it's such a very, it's becoming very populated. Like you said.
Yeah.
But I mean, they got that whole community they're getting ready to build out there, man. Wild. I'm actually excited for it.
The Kirkwood. I can't think of what it's called. The Kirkwood.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for it. To be honest with you, I think it's
it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be what's called an actual PUD, right? So. Planned unit development is what a PUD is, and it's going to be like.
Don't tell me what that means.
It's its own actual thing, right? Like they're going to have some like residential stuff. They'll have some shopping mall stuff. Like it's supposed to be like this whole thing, which is going to be really cool.
Right.
But the same thing, I mean, you're going to run it. No matter where you go, you're going to run into traffic in Clarksville anymore. There's no like secret place that has no traffic. I guess I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. The biggest realization people have is the lot sizes.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest realization, because people will come here and be like, I want at least an acre, and I want to be in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's going to be rough.
It is.
Because we got to find an older house that was built with a larger lot. Anything, if you want new construction, you're probably not going to.
It's probably like less than a quarter of an acre now.
It's usually around about a quarter. It's usually between about, I don't know, let's say. It's usually a quarter acre or less. I mean,
that's why
I don't want to put out an actual number, but I mean, it's a quarter.
Like whenever I see it, just out of curiosity, I look on the real tracks. I look at the lot size. It's less than a quarter of an acre. Like, nice.
So I mean, and that's but it is what it is. Like I don't know, and there's people that get really upset about it, but it's like, I mean, I can't change that.
Yeah.
I guess the one other giant complaint that I get from everybody that moves here is they're like, oh, I don't want a slope backyard. And you've heard me say it 100 times. I was like, it's Tennessee flat, and everybody laughs. But I'm being serious. Tennessee is nothing but rolling hills. So if you have a slight slope in your backyard, then you're not doing too bad.
I mean, he's got a nice listing out in Stones Manor.
No.
That's what the biggest complaint is the backyard.
I'm like, we were talking about that earlier.
But it's not even that bad, really.
No, it's not, and that's something that we were talking about as far as the feedback from that particular property is the house is gorgeous, right? Everything about it, everyone loves. It's the backyard, and a lot of the buyers and clients that walk through, they just could not visualize what the potential of that backyard could be. And they kind of wanted it already, formed of whatever it was, whether it was a pool or, it built
another
up.
Entertaining pad or something.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, you're gonna run into that frequently here in Tennessee because of the terrain.
I think those are. I don't know. What do you think? Those are probably the two biggest complaints that are non-changeable. Does that make sense? Like,
right.
I can't. Like, there's nothing I can.
Lot size and the actual slope of the lot itself.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let me see. How long are we today? Okay, we're at 43 minutes. Feel like 43 minutes already.
There's a timer.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of nice. So, well, I guess let's try to wrap things up a little bit, but let's talk about the. Well, I'll let you guys speak on the market. I know we always talk about it here and there, but don't want to put you on the spot. But I know you know your stuff. So, like, honestly, do you guys have an idea about how many active homes roughly we have right now? Or
actually, I haven't looked since the beginning of this week. I don't honestly haven't been.
I write them down every day, every morning. I swear, I do. I go active, upcoming, new construction, under contract, showing, not showing, and this morning I failed to do that. If I had to guess, based off of yesterday, I believe it was, I know it was over 1,000 active. It might have been a little over 1,100 or a little under 1,100.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I was gonna say roughly it's gonna be around 11. I was
wish
like,
I had
that's
those
where we've
numbers
been
on
kind of
hand,
hovering for a while.
But it's around that ballpark.
I think the average day on market's still going to be somewhere around 60 days.
Yeah.
Now, with that, I guess to go along with this real quick too is going to be, and I've said this 100 times, and I've said this I don't know how many times today to different people.
Yeah.
But if you are not under contract by about mid-November, right? Then as a seller.
Yeah.
You're going to be a little bit hard pressed to get an offer in and get under contract before about the second week of January.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's impossible by any means. It's just people like as soon as like you're about a week out from Thanksgiving, it's like a switch. Everybody
holiday mode.
Yeah, literally everybody clicks off house buying and turns on holiday mode.
Yep.
And then it goes. Their brains instantly shift from. Let's do how much do I have for a down payment to I got to buy plane tickets, I got to get presents, I got to travel here, I got to do this and that, and that's fine. That's called life. That's reality.
Yeah.
Now the flip side of that is if you can get a hold of an agent or get a hold of your agent, and you can go look at some houses right now.
Right.
You're gonna get a great deal on a house right now.
Yeah.
Just because it's been sitting.
Right.
Because mark my words, come freaking second week of January to about the first week of February, right in that moment, all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's gonna pop back off.
Right.
And then that's when competition starts again.
Right.
And I tell a lot of people that if you're gonna buy a house and you can wait, we can wait till around this time frame. If we can find a house that you wanna, purchase, this is the time to purchase because we're gonna probably get the most out of the sellers that we possibly can.
Yeah.
This time of year.
Right.
Because as soon as the market heats back up, the more competition is, the less the sellers are going to have to concede to. I mean,
no, it's facts, man. It's facts. Okay. Well, so you got a nice little quick update. Not to go back to the doom and gloom and kind of end on a bad note, but I think we should end with, honestly, kind of going back to, the tornado. Guys, just make sure you keep in close contact with your insurance company.
Yes.
Like honestly, and again, as a lender, man, I've gotten all the questions asked about, do I still have to pay my mortgage? Yes, you do. Because that's still your property, even though it's not there, it's been damaged. You still own that lot. There's still value on that property.
So fun fact, right? And a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around this.
Yeah.
The house is what's known as an improvement. Okay? It's an improvement. The real property or the real estate that you purchase is the dirt. It is literally the dirt. It's that number. The house that's on the dirt is an improvement. Yes, that improvement adds the value of the dirt lot.
Right.
But that's why you would still be paying for your mortgage is because you still own
the dirt lot. And honestly, and I tell a lot of people this, you have to get with your insurance company, man, because some will say, hey, yes, keep paying your mortgage, but we'll cover your rent. Or, hey, we'll pay, up to X amount of dollars for your mortgage, and then you pay the rest on whatever rental you want. It's honestly, we have no say-so in it.
Or there might be a deferment.
There might be a deferment.
I don't know.
So, and that's what I tell a lot of people. Just make sure, keep very close with your insurance. And, honestly, I'm not trying to be funny, but this is where you're going to see which insurance company is going to be good and which is not. And I know that's crappy to say, but, the people who maybe use the bigger companies, like, and they actually send an actual little lizard out there to go investigate your property, you guys are honestly going to see it. And, that's kind of the importance of, again, that local. It's always a local feel, That's why I wish I could have brought an insurance agent on here today. And I know their hands are completely tied, but at some point I would love to bring them on just so you guys can kind of hear firsthand of like what they had to deal with, what did they see, how did they deal with it.
That'd be interesting. That'd be a good conversation.
No, it would be. It's just right now I know everybody's got their hands tied, and it's like I can't imagine what they're going through by any stretch of means, but yeah, guys. So keep in contact, man. Insurance is going to be your biggest friend right now. Just be on them, be patient, And like I said, man, use your resources. They're there for a reason. Plenty of help. And honestly, if you guys have any questions, man, ask your agent, ask your lender. Don't be ashamed. Don't be scared. It's kind of what we're here for, So, I mean, I remember getting the text from my very first client that night that got affected. He's like, "Hey, dumb question, but what do I do now?" I was like, "What do you mean?" ... And he's like, "My house." I was like, so I called him, and that's when I found out. I was like, "Oh, got you." Fun fact, I told him to shut off all of his breakers because his house was full of water from the rain.
No, that's actually a great point because that was the first thing. So Chad and I, when we were driving around, they were talking about trying to get the power on.
Yeah.
That was the first thing we were saying. I was like, dude, they turn power on, there's going to be fires everywhere.
But see, and you know what? His neighbors, when they cut it back, like when they were able to get something going, his neighbor's house caught on fire. But I told him, I was like, dude.
There's freaking loose wires everywhere. You have power in it. Like, it's going to be a fire.
Yeah, so I told him,
it just goes back to what we always say, no matter what we're talking about on every podcast, is education, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just educating people. That's all.
Yeah, but and I told him, I was like, cut off your breaker, bro. All those bad boys off, because you trust me, you'll know when you have power. Everybody else around you, so you will know when you have power. Trust me. But you do not want to be anywhere near that if you have like live power getting ready to run through your house with wires dangling everywhere, water. Just it's a madhouse. But obviously we'll have one more podcast before Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
one more.
Absolutely.
Damn, dude, this year flew by quick.
Yeah, it did.
It's been nuts, dude.
I'm ready to retire.
Yeah,
I'm ready for the new year. Yeah. I'm excited for what 2024 brings.
I'm pretty excited for 2024. I think 2024 is going to be it's going to be a really good year, man.
It is.
I just think there's a lot going to be happening around here.
Yep. Yeah, from our side, the thing I tell a lot of people is the people who made it, man. We've said on the podcast before, the people that make it now and is able to push through and make it.
Yep.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to see the reaps and the benefits. And like all the people this year who bought a home, man. If they were on the fence and they finally pulled the trigger on a home, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to text them and say, hey, aren't you glad you bought a home?
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. So.
Why? Because renting is 100%.
Yeah.
Interest.
Hey. But I made that video you shared. I'm like, guys, I told you 100%, man. The U.S. wages do not equate to the living costs. And I promise you, I understand that. It's frustrating. Like, guys, I experienced that firsthand. When I was in Oregon and I was getting paid not that much, and the cost of living over there was extremely high. So trust me, I know exactly how you guys feel. I did. Like when right down the road from me, it was townhomes. This is before the housing boom, okay? This is back in 2016, 2017. It says townhomes starting at $499. I was like, excuse me? I was like, $500K for a townhome. And I'm like, how do I get myself into a home? There was no way I was going to be able to afford it, man. I was on I think at the time I was making like $50K salary. And I'm like, being in this industry, I was like, yeah, math really ain't mathing, because like I can't afford that. I was like, I can't. $500K. I mean, what's not going to get me anywhere. So, again, me being in the industry now, I promise you guys, I sympathize for you. I understand. But there's also different ways you can look at things. There's different ideas we could throw at you, things to help you get into a home. Because I am kind of one of those people where I'm like, yeah, man, you got good credit, and you can show me that you've made your rent payments on time for maybe 2 years, no late payments, nothing. Why wouldn't I? You know? I mean, I understand. I said it on a few podcasts ago about, I understand that you have there's money involved and you're borrowing money, which I understand that, but also understand the fact that hey, you can show me you make a $2,000 payment on rent, never be late, always on time. I think that should allow you to get a house.
Yeah.
My opinion. But so I get it. Trust me. I sympathize for you guys, but I think that's gonna wrap it up. I'll be waiting for my blanket to come in.
Yeah, we got one
bed sheet
for you.
My bed sheet. Yeah.
But again, hey, thank you everybody that has supported one another during this time. Again, we are very grateful to live here in Clarksville, and this is a direct representation of Clarksville and how awesome it is to be here and how we can come together. So thank you to everybody out there that is showing support.
You know what? I'm gonna give a shameless plug. There's some work boots that I had when I was helping my buddy out. It's called Brunt work boots. They feel like tennis shoes, which is great, but they're actual work boots. I stepped on a nail and I didn't feel it until I felt the board underneath me walking with me. But I didn't feel it, and it was great. I was like, oh. I was like, I'm a heavy man. Like, I'm surprised that nail didn't go through all the way. But I was like, huh, these boots are great. I even left them a nice review.
There you go.
I was like,
maybe they'll send me another pair.
I doubtful now.
Nope, definitely not.
All right, guys. We'll catch you next week.
See you guys.